Hello everyone, good morning. As you know, this year is probably literally uncontainable. There are so many things that are going on. I'm just like, I feel like a ball in a pinball machine, just slammed from one side to the other. Thank you to the hundreds of you that showed up at 6 o'clock in the morning to see Ivar Bekum, the spiral of Sundial. I'm joking. But we had a little bit of an audience. And the artwork is going on. It's an ephemeral artwork. It's in the middle of Taksim Square. And I just want to give you a couple of heads up. As you can see, the newsletter flows in. You have different sorts of information throughout the day. You can pick and choose what and where you would like to be. One general event that I would like to point out for today is the performance in front of the gallery by Killian Ox. We're doing the performance between, let's say, 5 to 7:30. And I also know that there is the Hammam event that is going to be happening almost at the same time, although the hours for the Hammam event are 6:30 to 10 o'clock. Just to explain you the space, you can enter, there is like a foyer area where you can enter for free. That is, there is a cupola and the artwork is projected up on the cupola. And then, as I see a delegates, you can choose. The Hammam is divided into two sections. One for men, and one for women. And if you want to enter into these sections where you can actually have a bath, a massage, and etc., that is for payment, but you have a 20% discount with your ASEA badge. And then, on top of the Hammam, there is a terrace, which is a really beautiful terrace, where both men and women can sit down and discuss and etc. And that's where we're going to be having the event tonight. It collides slightly with the Biennale events, but we will keep it light and free, and we will close most likely before 10 p.m. For those of you attending the Biennale has or should have sent you all the different information on how to do so. Follow them carefully. Although from my experience, they tend to be pretty relaxed. I believe that the problems with social networks have been solved, and that's about it for the housekeeping for today. It is with great pleasure that I would like to announce this keynote speech today. Everybody knows Oliver Grau. He has strongly contributed to the field of new media, virtual arts, and without need of further introduction, here it is, Oliver Grau.
So we are on a partner look today, Gianfranco. Good morning, everybody. So thank you very much for having me at IZEA again. And first of all, I'd like to thank Gianfranco and Austin for the care and love they invested during the last few years for the amazing preparation of this at IZEA. Thank you very much. So often I'm asked, where is the Danube University? It is a new international university near Vienna in a UNESCO World Heritage called Grau. It's also a nice wine area. And our department is set in the new part of the university, but also in a 1,000-year-old monastery, which is always very challenging. And then we have programs like image science and media art history and exhibition design, management, and other things take place there. So starting point of the following comparisons is the visual manifesto of knowledge, l'Académie des Sciences, des Idées Beaux-Arts, Christian Leclerc created in 1698. Here is a print from the Gottweib Graphic Collection. So I have digitization, which might be a better idea. So this digitization of a print, which can be magnified some 16,000 times, enables new access to that medium of graphic prints and allows us to discover details that are barely recognizable in the original. For, to paraphrase Wölfli, one only looks at for what one is able to see, of course, in order to make new questions and answers possible. Nested against a background of magnificent architecture, Leclerc presents the Grau spectrum of arts and science disciplines, so mathematics, mechanics, physics, astronomy, music, anatomy, and philosophy are clearly recognizable. A great deal was written about this work. I focus on the visual media, which commentators so far have ignored. Interestingly, today, as we seek to understand the revolution concerning our visual perception, it is these visual media in Leclerc's picture that have been picked up by others. So when we zoom into the picture, we see that Leclerc's Summa is also a collection of the optical media of its time. Like in a burning mirror, the physiological basis of spatial vision, which you see here, go closer, here, as well as a central perspective, which you have down here, so velum, with which this drawing aid also refers to the velum used by Dürer. And of course here also more instruments like the anamorphosis here, the camera, the Latana Magica, and here's also another anamorphosis, this one here. And there are some more to discover. So the anamorphosis described by Lacan as the reversal of central perspective came to the West from China in the 15th century and subsequently developed into a variety of sub-techniques. Severely distorted objects could either be transformed into a recognizable image by using a cylindrical mirror or by viewing them from an acute angel lens. Here, these images, which could only be experienced, so to speak, interactively in their time, could be regarded as precursors of today's processual images. Okay, let's get off here. For years, William Kentridge, one of the most known artists of our time, is working around the subject of vision. Even historic image media like the mirror anamorphosis made its way into his contemporary media art. In 2007, he created a hybrid that had not existed before in the media history of seeing, using an 8-minute short, what will come has already come. He links a hand-drawn animation film with the anamorphosis, which appears connected now for the first time with moving images. To get an accurate picture of what he distorted, or what the distorted pictorial metaphors contain, Kentridge lets us use a metal cylindrical mirror, newsreel images of a colonial war fascist Italy fought in 35-36 in Ethiopia. Kentridge, who comes from a South African Jewish family, fuses descriptions of the war with poetically floating projections of memories to create a parable about violence, a revolving carousel of images like a visual maelstrom with the power to pull the observer in. Kentridge gives us a bitter truth in a sugary pill. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. A pleasurable deception that we experience naively and at the same time knowingly. Kentridge's video is not a film in terms of any time sequence, but rather a collage with in part hermetic elements which overlap and are used by Kentridge as the vehicles of ambivalent, secret, even magical messages, perhaps inspired by Balthusaitis' description of the uses of anamorphosis in the course of history. So Kentridge, as we know, photographs different stages of his charcoal drawings for the animation, that is, he adds new details and erases others, working on the relatively small number of 20 to 40 drawings per film, and what remains represents the final version of a scene over a layer of drawings that have been reworked several times. The anamorphosis as a medium, Kentridge expands in two ways. Firstly, he draws distortedly with the aid of a cylindrical mirror after the classic manner of anamorphic depictions to obtain the desired proportions. Secondly, with his innovative crossing of anamorphosis and animation, Kentridge also expands the possibilities of film, what Gunning claimed for Kentridge's stereoscope in 2001. Running metamorphosis is clearly ramped up in what will come. Kentridge not only succeeds in creating a space of distance and of thought through citing the historical anamorphosis, he also develops a media hybrid which challenges the observer to become aware of their own active role in the production of images. In order to experience the complex, dynamic, and heterogeneous image space, the observer must become physically active. Consequently, Kentridge exposes the iconicity of the image, if you like, which only arises through perception. In this case, in the anamorphic process. So it is not surprising that Kentridge develops his artistic approach in a time where the world of images around us changed as fast as never before. Images are advancing into new domains, new private platforms like YouTube, Flickr with its billions uploads, of Facebook that has received its 700 millionth member and is now the largest image archive in the world, as we know. Television became a zappy field of thousands of channels, now in 3D, and 3D experiences, as we know, a renaissance in cinema as well. Here you see the previous booms of 3D in cinema's history, and large projection screens are invading our cities, buildings, surfaces melt ever more often with moving images, so that the old dream of talking architecture gets a new arsenal of options. And cell phones transmit movies in real time, and Google Street View and Google Earth step up the concepts of panoramic image, here you go, of panoramic image spaces, including satellite view, for example, of our center in Grau, as you see it here. So finally you get an idea where that is also. And of course, all this, let's say, virtualization requires a so far unknown material base. Google runs, for example, 1 million servers, as we know, in a dozen countries, even on the ocean, and processes 24 petabytes of user-generated data per day, and the several million people who died in the race for conflict materials. Here you see a new 100 gigahertz IBM graph chip did not even receive a monument of the unknown victim so far. So that's said to the myth of virtualization. So digital images became ubiquitous and key tools within the global reorganization of work, but these transformations have hit society to a large extent unprepared. I will not go deeper into that, but some results of this research you can also find in the newly published volume by MIT Press. So the thesis in our most recent present artist venture in a reflective manner towards new measurement